Welcome back to a Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes. I'm joined today, of course, by Lawrence Conley. And Daniel F. asks the question, has Lawrence got the lotto numbers? Excellent prediction from him. Something I couldn't see coming, but thought second half has been a joy to watch. Engels, Bernardo and Maida, all very good. You are, of course, Danielle, talking about Lawrence Conley's prediction, which was 1-0 half-time, 4-0 full-time, no panic during the half-time break. Over to you, Lawrence.
It's the style of Brendan Rodgers football in Scotland, isn't it? The other teams make it hard to break them down. You know, we tire them out first half and we take advantage second half, normally making 4 or 5 subs. So, yeah, still top of the league, still unbeaten, goal difference improved. A lot to be happy about today. You know, I know Jan get subbed. We were kind of harsh on him before kick-off, but he's won the penalty. He had a few decent touches. Listen, his work rate and his attitude certainly there. It's his final ball, I think we worry about.
Yeah.
Good to see Hatate getting a goal again. You know, that'll do the world a good way for his confidence, because I think his game, he's been a wee bit off it recently. So, Hatate getting that. Bernardo definitely grew into the game. A lot of nice touches from him. So,
very much so.
You know, for a Boxing Day, you know, there's no point writing off letters about this game.
No, there could be a lot worse. I mean, you know, at halftime, and it's not I told you so, it absolutely isn't. But I think we've seen this movie so often. You're sitting there at halftime. Sometimes it's a stalemate. Sometimes, like today, you're a goal up, which was an important goal to score at an important time. But it's all about just not panicking, because you know that we come into our own. We often do come into our own in the second half. Not always. I mean, sometimes we blow teams away in the first half. We've seen that this season a number of times. So, yeah, no panic. We're going to go into the individual performances of some of the guys who were involved in the goals. And before we do that, what about the showboating at the end with Rio and Kyogo? Lawrence, you know?
They were enjoying it again, which was good to see.
Yep.
Kyogo enjoying it again. You know, definitely good, both of them. You know, we'll get next game. It's next 4 games. We start off with an away game at Poundland. Then we've got 3 at home. Get 12 points from those, mate. It's got to be our goal, hasn't it? So
well,
it's
got another game in amongst all that before the Rangers games come around, of course, because we're playing St Johnstone on Sunday.
Of course, St Johnstone Sunday, mate.
Yeah.
Yes. Listen, it's just about December, mate. You've seen many teams falter in their title challenges and drop points in December. Look at Aberdeen, how they fell away.
Right. We'll talk about that a wee bit, because obviously today's result, I mean, even for myself, who obviously were looking at the form of Aberdeen and thinking to myself, right, get through to January, probably make a few signings to try and strengthen and get the season back on track. Well, today they were absolutely humped, weren't they, at Rugby Park, 4-0. So that's a shocker of a score for Aberdeen this season. The worst result of this season, I would contest. St Johnstone 1, Dundee United 2. Dundee 0, Ross County 3. That might raise a few eyebrows. Celtic beating Motherwell 4-0. And in the earlier game, Hearts 1, Hibs 2. At 5:45, St Mirren host Rangers in the final fixture of this Boxing Day. But you're right. You're looking at the other results today, and you're looking at the league table as well. And we are sitting pretty, as we sit pretty at the top of the league with 47 points. Rangers, who play later on tonight, 35. And then you've got Aberdeen. It looks as though they've ran out of puff. They're 34. Dundee United not far behind on 28. Motherwell, then St Mirren. Hibs seem to have turned around their season. Timely turnaround as well for them. And obviously Hearts are now second bottom with that Ross County result as well. So they are just 2 points ahead of St Johnstone. Things are looking good in the league. We've already got the League Cup wrapped up. We're looking at permutations in the Champions League, Lawrence. And obviously, for me, it's a situation where last week we were talking about this meeting. You and I were talking about the meeting between Brendan Rodgers and Dermot Desmond. It's all about looking ahead to January, looking ahead to Brendan's contract. And it is all positive. And I think that's why at half-time, where there's a lot of kind of discerning voices in the comments, you're kind of saying, just chill out a wee bit. We're doing fine. We're doing absolutely fine. Yeah. We're in a lot better shape now than we were a year ago, Lawrence.
Oh, without doubt. Listen, Kettlewell set his team up to sit pretty deep that first half. But we had to work hard. So did they. 4 guys in a yellow card, they had to sub 3 of them. It's a big drop-off in quality for them when they're subbing 3 off. It's don't panic. You know what Brendan's team's about? It's about ball retention. It's about picking your moments. Don't work the other team, tire them out. So, yeah, I'm not surprised when we get 1-0 at half-time and 4-0 full-time at home. It's something we've seen a lot with Brendan's teams. But we've had a lot of games, mate. So it's not kind of grinding it out today. This was an assured performance. We knew what we were going to do. Brendan would have planned this out for them. So look, we knew Motherwell would pack the defence. They'd be hard to break down. Open them up. Once you get the second goal, the game's almost gone for them, mate. You know what I mean? So at 1-0, they would have thought, try and keep it tight. Get the second goal, game's over and done. It could have been more today. Could have been more today easily. But even in the first half, a lot of the second balls in the box were breaking at their defenders rather than our forwards. Almeida doesn't get a penalty. There's 2 hands in his back. Seems to push him over. The VAR officials are frightened to give penalties now. Will we be writing letters in, mate?
Listen.
Will Michael Nicholson be doing what Paddy done over at Ibrox and getting his pen and paper out to write a letter off?
Listen, it's a good point because we've won comfortably today, right? And it's at times like this that sometimes you can just overlook some of these decisions. But Jean-Paul II brings it up as well, Lawrence. It was something that, it just goes without a whimper, these kind of things all the time. And I think that, we do have to focus on it. We spoke before the game that the club tend to do that behind the scenes, rightly or wrongly. I would suggest that it's a far classier way to do your business than trying to put people at risk by making statements all the time. But we can talk about it.
Media, though.
This is a thing. This is a thing.
Chris Boy's surely going to be apoplectic that VAR have missed yet another penalty.
Well, it was clear for me.
He must have his cranes out been out.
When is a push in the box not a penalty or made it? Anyway, another 3 points. Yep, that was a moment of the game. It's a moment of the game that we'll certainly discuss, Lawrence, and you're right. I mean, there is also a theory that Tony Davarin has here that Hatate and Kyogo didn't want to spoil the party of the Skylark because obviously Lawrence had correctly predicted 1-0, 4-0. I don't know if you're a betting man, Lawrence, but a brilliant prediction nonetheless. We're going to be talking about the men that made the difference. And I'll start off with Arnie Engels, right? So 12:30 as normal today. Yeah, it was an unusual kick-off time on Boxing Day, so we did our normal bulletin, Liam and I. And we were talking about our predicted 11s. I got most of it wrong, but I did get the midfield right. And my thoughts behind Engels were that he needs to start playing games again, Lawrence. He's kind of fallen away a wee bit and he's been on the bench. He needs to try and just get into the team so that all the pressure isn't on him. And I predicted that he would start today, which he did. He opens his scoring. I think it's really important. I don't know at halftime people were saying, he just scored a penalty. Listen, we went for a long time where we didn't have a penalty kick taker that you'd have put money
on. About 20 years, mate.
Oh, honestly. So Arnie Engels comes in and it was an important opening goal for 2 players, and that was Engels and Yang. Yang, under the microscope, getting criticism. Some of that criticism came from us. But he is the guy that wins the penalty. Engels steps up and he takes it. But it wasn't just the penalty today. I thought overall he wins the man of the match. And I think that, for me, I'm now looking at the next game against St Johnstone with one eye on the Rangers game. Engels is back in contention for me.
Yeah, he's done something to try and keep his shot. You could see the reason why he'd keep his shot. But listen, go back to Yang, mate. I think he offered more in that first half than I thought he was going to offer. We were talking beforehand saying, look, he's had a lot of chances and he's not really done enough with them. See the couple of good flicks. He ran the ball out a few times, lost the ball, but he does well to win the penalty. He always showed for the ball, though. I think Brendan likes that attitude and work rate from his players. Another player that was non-stop, we said before the game, was Tony Ralston. Be up and down that line all day long.
Absolutely.
Great performance by Tony. Absolutely solid. Is he as good as AJ? Probably not. But, he's an able deputy. And I think Tony's one of those players that benefits from playing games, getting a run in the team. Thought, great today. Great from him. Greg, he had that slack back ball across the middle of the park today, didn't he? And he had that in the cup final. It's maybe something that teams are watching for now. Just put a wee bit of pressure on him.
He pondered on the ball too long, didn't he? And when he finally makes the pass, it's a slack one.
Yeah. So it's maybe, no doubt Brendan will have the video analysis teams out and saying, look, right, you've got to Go watch what you're doing here. If in doubt at that point, back to Casper. But listen, Vi, come on, looked in the mid. It's an issue of performance.
Gets an assist
from the whole team.
Yeah, you mentioned Ralston. I self-proclaim my own favourite player as being Anthony Ralston. I think that's mainly due to the attitude that he's shown throughout his Celtic career, written off so many times. But what he did show today is that he can play. I mean, there were 2 moments where he has created 2 chances within a couple of minutes, 2 chances. The first one fell to Kyogo. It was a great finish by Kyogo and a good save, instinctive save. Another one was Scales' header. And that was in the space of like 3 minutes, Lawrence, where he's bombed down the right. He's hit the byline. By the way, a couple of these crosses went a bit ski-whiff, but these 2 didn't. These were brilliant crosses. And he's created 2 good chances.
They'd be up and down that line.
Yep.
We did say sometimes it's his cross and it's not the greatest. But we knew before kick-off, that's what Tony will give you. He'll give you that endeavour, that work rate. And yeah, great showing from Tony today. Yeah. People are panicking half-time. They're entitled to their opinion, but you're kind of going, have you watched this? When Brendan's been in charge. Teams try and stifle us. It's all about getting the breakthrough. They can't live with us for 90 minutes in general. And it's no surprise that, especially at Celtic Park, that we run out 4-0 winners.
Yeah, it's convincing. It really is convincing. And by the way, as I say, it's not I told you so. It's just that at half time, when you're a goal up at home, where you've controlled the first half and you've got the backup on the bench that we had, we knew that the players coming in, and we'll talk about some of them, can make a real difference. Then I was confident that we would turn it around. I've spoken about the first goal, which was the high point, obviously, the first half. Engels gets the penalty and it's won by Yang, and I think both players needed that for their confidence. Then we move into the second goal, which is scored by Diaz Maida. Now this comes from an Engels corner, which is flicked on by Scales, and it's no luck. This happened for Taylor's. This happened, was it Bernardo maybe that took the corner on that occasion, and then Scales flicks it onto Taylor and Taylor scores against Rangers.
Listen, we were talking about that before kick-off, about the big boys in the box, weren't we?
Yes.
Scales, Engels, Bernardo, Cameron, Vickers gives us that physicality. But listen, talk about corners. What about Taylor taking the shot, going on the ref, missing it, and making us retake it again?
Completely missed it, yeah.
Ref, you missed it. What about your assistant referee or linesman, whatever you want to call him? Surely he's sitting there.
First time I saw that, that method of just rolling the ball out with the little arc, right? First time I ever saw that was on one of these TikTok channels, Lads Bible or something, where it was a pub league game, and the ref saw it. So you're right to bring it up, because again, at this level, you can't miss that. You just cannot miss it, especially now that it's a well-known method to take a corner, right? It's a bit fly and all the rest of it. Maybe the first time it's ever happened at this level, you could say to the ref, "All right, I'll let you away with that one." You shouldn't be missing that.
No, we've done it a few times at this level. We've done that corner a few times. So yeah, definitely, I think poor from the ref, and I don't think he did a great game. Honestly, you're looking at that Maeda. It's got to be a pen, but obviously when Maeda followed up his shot, he dives down low to try and header it. There's a bit in there to clear the ball from the defender. Looks like might be contact Maeda's head. It then breaks, and the defender dives down low to try and clear it. Bernardo goes in with his boot, and it's a free kick against Bernardo. And you're going, well, ref, what was the difference there? I thought if anything, it's advantage attacking team, but it's a free kick against Paulo, but not against the Motherwell defender. So I thought it was a poor ref, but listen, it's comfortable when in December, when we've had a fairly heavy calendar, a number of second choices in the first team, would you say? That wasn't our strongest team, but it may be a testament to the quality of the squad that Brendan's building. Comfortable winners again.
The quality of the squad, that's we'll touch on that in the coming weeks as well, moving into another transfer window. And I just think that I always go into non-contributing players, Lawrence. That's what I always look at. And there's a reason for them not contributing. You've got a situation at the moment in the midfield, particularly where, and now in defence, because there's Scales you getting a start today when Trusty's fit and he's sitting on the bench. And the midfield in particular is an area where, in McCowan, Bernardo, Hatate or Engels start a game, it's not going to raise any eyebrows because you've got a good quality and good competition for places. And I think the key is to try and get that all over the park. We don't know if we've got it in goals because Schmeichel hasn't put a foot wrong, and the other fella, Sinisalo's, not had an opportunity. So we're not quite sure how strong we are in terms of the backup there. I mean, Schmeichel could have been hit with illness. Anyone could have been missing last week. So we're not quite sure at the moment. You're looking at the right back. You've already looked at the comparison or the standard. And AJ is undoubtedly a better standard of player. However, you look at that today. That's the type of game Ralston can come in and almost play in his sleep. I mean, this is his level. In terms of Scotland, domestically, he can play this level and he can shine. And he did that today. Left back, Greg Taylor. Obviously, we've pinpointed one moment of the game. I think he's done that a couple of times now. He's going to have to watch that. And then you've got Baye on the backup. Baye coming on and doing well and getting an assist.
I'll go back to Scales and say, look, we spoke about Trusty when he came in, and surely at 6 million he's coming in to start.
Yeah.
Maybe at the beginning of the season, we said, how many guys have come in so far to dislodge Liam Scales?
Well, let's count them.
There's a bit of luck. Well, there's been a bit of luck in terms of injury, but he's made his own luck because he's put performances in. He's had the attitude. Yeah. He's not hidden. He's always showing up for us. So here we had Rocky.
Mm-hmm. Lagerbielke. Nat Phillips.
Nat Phillips, mate. Trusty now is looking struggling to take it.
So it's all one player. I mean, I know we give Brendan Rodgers credit, Lawrence. We talk about the man management ability, the fact that he saw something in this player who you rightly said at the beginning of the game was on his way to Aberdeen. If they could find the finance for it, he was on his way. And he gets thrown into that game. Remember, we signed Phillips for that Rangers game as an emergency signing, and he's not fit to play.
Crazy, crazy stuff, wasn't it? Listen, Liam Scales, just attitude and determination. I suppose you get that with Greg Taylor as well. The guys that aren't never tired of proving people wrong. Because Greg said the same. How many left backs have we come in that's going to take over for Greg? Listen, and maybe they've given him some competition. Maybe Greg's raised his game. I don't know. But you know what? Those boys have managed to hold on to the shot. And we must have spent about, I'd say, I guess, maybe 20 million trying to replace the two of them so far.
Well, Bolingoli, right? So Bolingoli comes in at about 3.5 million. Diego Lixalt was a loan player, but we paid a loan fee for him of a couple of million quid.
1.5,
yeah, from AC Milan.
Bernabé
3.75. So that's just your left back. And none of them dislodged Greg Taylor. And none of the centre-halves that we've spoken about has actually dislodged Liam Scales. So he dropped out for a few games and you're thinking, right, we've got Trusty in CCV now. Then the League Cup final happens and Trusty gets hooked at half-time, Lawrence. Then he gets hit with the illness. So it's not just the time, and it's then Scales needs to step back up, and he does it flawlessly. Steps right into the fold.
There's loads of players couldn't handle that pressure. Playing centre-half for Celtic. Liam Scales, I don't think the pressure comes in. He revels in that. I think where we all question is, does he have the ability? Is he good enough? But you know what? He keeps getting that jersey back, doesn't he? Yeah. And look, lovely flick on. He's done a few times. He's definitely a threat in opposition box. I think Alan Morrison and Celtic, the numbers, he's shown that he can break the lines with his passing, his long passing. He can create chances for us. So, great to see kind of him proving doubters wrong again. And the same with Greg. Hopefully Greg signs a new contract. Hopefully Kieran joins. But we don't know.
Well, what a situation that would be, Lawrence. That would be a great scenario to have with the two of them, and then obviously twofold. What you've got is a situation where Tierney doesn't have to play 50 to 60 games a season. Yeah. He might even slot in the left side of the centre half because we've seen him playing there for Scotland. But you want to get to the point where you've got that quality and that dilemma almost all over the park. But you're right when you say that about Scales. I used to say last season, when he was keeping out the other three centre halves in Nat Phillips, Lagerbielke, and Nawrocki. He's keeping Nawrocki and Lagerbielke cost us £7.5 million. He's keeping those players out of the team, and the response would always be, but he's not a £5 million, he's not a £6 million player. We're bringing Trusty for £6 million, and Scales is still he's regained his position in the first team. And you're looking at that. We'll come to the other goal scorers in a moment, Lawrence. I've got one eye on the Rangers game. Obviously, we've got to do the business against St Johnstone, and I think we will. I think it'll be similar to today. they'll play a similar way against us. We'll break them down. We've got too much quality and we'll win the game comfortably. And you're looking at the Rangers game, you're asking yourself, right, if AJ is fit, he comes right back into the team, regardless of how well Ralston played today. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Centre halves. At the moment, you're starting with Scales and Carter Vickers, aren't you?
Oh, without doubt. Listen, I think Scales have been our best defender this year. It was really unlucky to lose his position to Trusty, but then again, if the manager spends $6 million, he's got to give him a start in the first team, see what he can do.
But look how it elevates performers, right? So we spend $6 million on the centre half, Lawrence. We spend £11 million on Engels, and we spend $9.5 million on Ida. And none of the three of them have really been that consistent first pick. So Kyogo, people might argue he's not up to his levels. I mean, you've seen him today, right? Yeah, that kind of sharpness and some of the things he's done this season.
Was back today, wasn't it?
Absolutely, aye. And Rio was trying to find him as well, because he is the guy that can find his runs. You're looking at Engels. I mean, has that elevated the performance of someone like Paulo Bernardo? I would probably say yeah. And you've got Scalesy. So he knows, right, I've got Austin Trusty, 6 months. So bringing in a player, some people say, oh, they're a flop because they're not playing. But what do they do to elevate the performance levels of those vying for that jersey as well, Lawrence?
Oh, 100%. You know, I think without doubt, Liam's raised his game. I think both him and Greg get targeted by other teams because they know at times that they've got a slack pass in them and are not the quickest on the turn. So they know that's where they might get some joy. But going forward, both of them provide assists. You know, both are a danger in the opposition box. Both score goals.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, Trusty's definitely led to Scales raising his game again. I mean, would you bet against Liam Scales keeping that jersey for the rest of the season, being a start for next year? It's just his attitude, his work rate, mate. He refuses to give that jersey up, doesn't he?
On this form, you couldn't drop him. It's as simple as that. Now, the goal that was scored, set up by the flick on by Liam Scales, was scored by none other than Dyson Maeda. Bizarrely enough, after the Dundee United game, he was getting a lot of stick on here in the comment section. Maeda, I think I saw a stat that in the calendar year 2024, he's the highest goal scorer. Dyson Maeda. He scored more goals.
I thought you were going to say he ran for 464 days.
Oh, there is that as well. Yeah, there is that. But he scored more goals than anybody else.
Not to get 2 penalties today, but it's what it is. Didn't get either of them. You know, again, when it goes down with his head, it's falling up in his own shot. Probably been the softer one, but the 2 hands in the back stick on penalty. I mean, the pace he showed to get there, chasing that ball down from... It was Engels that played it cross.
I thought it was an excellent pass, actually, because at first it looked as though it was maybe wild, but he was playing into Maeda, so it turned out to be a really good pass.
Totally. And I don't know what the VAR team, the ref and the linesman saying, but you see 2 hands in his back. Like, what does it need to be? But listen, Maeda's another guy that seems to get a lot of sticks from the snipers, doesn't he? Work rate is undoubted. I think he's added more end product to his game since Brendan's come in. You know, we're definitely a poorer team without him in it.
Yeah, you're right. And of course, the wingers will be the focus of a lot of attention come January, Lawrence, because I do think that, you know, when you've got a couple of guys out, as we have had before us and Kuhn, then the conversation turns into Yang, Palmer, are they good enough? Do we need another winger? My decision's been made. I think we do need another winger going into January. And the other day there was a big conversation about going out and signing Jota. We'll leave that one for another day. It's Christmas time. We can dream. Barry McCluskey, always a pleasure to see you, my friend. It's definitely more impactful coming on as a sub. It seems like that, Lawrence. I mean, the energy he brought into the game today off the bench was the Hatate of old, that vintage Rio Hatate, you know, defence splitting passes, you know, the guy that can identify Kyogo's runs. We saw all of that in the second half today.
Totally. Listen, he's come on against a tired team and we're winning it. They're having to open up a wee bit more. You know, once we hit kind of 2, they're having to open up a bit more to try and get anything out of the game. And it's easier for us to take advantage. Maybe a lot of the games, I think we're looking for a Hatate bit of magic when he starts, isn't he? We're looking, going, can you give us a breakthrough, Rio? You know, he done it against Aberdeen. You know, what about probably the only thing he done right in 90 minutes, but it gives us 3 points. Today, brilliant off the bench. As was Kuhn. You know, we'll talk about worried about that tackle on him in the cup final. What kind of damage it might have done to him. he's clearly, so far, Scotland's player of the season. And you're worried, is this going to have a big impact in the season? Could have put him out. Great to see him come back in, and goodbye players as if they're not there. He just sets them up, doesn't he? And they can't live his pace. He's deflection for the goal, but another good performance by him.
No, brilliant. Obviously the two subs come on, Kuhn and Hatate, they both get goals. One assisted by the right back, one assisted by the left back. And it shows you the relationships you require to sometimes carve these teams open. As you say, they were, by that time, a tiring side, and all the legwork had already been done, I think. Boheed Bob comes in. Always a pleasure to see you on the YouTube since the turgid draw against Atalanta. Is that how you describe that? Turgid draw? I thought it was a great result.
I was buzzing at half-time. Seeing that first half performance against them, I knew we were taking something from that Atalanta game. Away in Italy.
Disciplined. I would say a disciplined draw rather than a turgid draw. We didn't create much offensively, but to get a result like that against that standard of opposition, I think you've got to be safe. You've got to play a bit of safe. I wouldn't call it turgid. We've played 14 games. What's that?
Brendan said. Was that pragmatic enough?
Pragmatic enough, yeah, exactly. 14 games and won 9, but more than 2 clear goals or more. One of the draws we won a cup. It's not a bad life. I think that Boheed Bob was using the word turgid sarcastically in this comment. I'll take what I can get. I saw the 90s. Yeah, the 90s were a different experience altogether, weren't they? Boheed Bob, they absolutely were. And in many ways, I'm glad I lived through them, to be honest with you, Lawrence, because even though we were poor, really, really poor, always loved going to the games. Always loved it. Tony's back in. Lawrence is a modern-day Nostradamus. There you go. If this holds, 3 pints in the Skylark. Did you say that? As well as predicting the score, did you say
always
3 pints in the Skylark? There you go then.
But in the 90s, I don't know, 95, we picked up the cup. Tommy Burns' team, absolute joy to watch, mate. Joy to watch. Rebuilding the stadium, the Rebels have won. Experience to live through it, mate. Regaining control of the club from the old board, and seeing that the stadium rise at Celtic Park, culminating in kind of the League One in '98. It wasn't all bad, mate. The '90s, and I missed out the 10 and 6s.
What was the score against St Johnstone in the final?
Oh, I can't remember. Who was it? Who was the team? Craney, Miller, Cascarino, Collins.
Collins was the captain. Mark Donaghy played. Gordon Marshall was in goals. We beat St Johnstone 4-2, and that's without checking the wiki, by the way. I remember cheering that win like it was a domestic honour. In fact, if they start counting Petrofac Cups, we're going to have to throw in the 10 and 6s. John Sweeney, here we go.
Michael Kelly wanted to count it. It's a success.
Probably. Bring back the 6s. Far better second half, and great to see Kuhn get a goal, and his direct running will cause any team's problems. Let's hope he's as sharp as he possibly can be for the Rangers game. Barry O'Sullivan, afternoon troops. Very happy Christmas to all the Acsom family, Barry. We don't take that for granted. We thank you all for your support throughout the year. And as I was saying earlier on the show with Liam, there's loads of plans for 2025 just to up the ante in terms of a Celtic state of mind. Ian Roy, hope I'm not unfair in saying that Ida is a weak link. I thought Ida did okay today. I think he was on a booking. We wanted Kyogo to get some minutes, but in terms of his touch, I was concerned earlier in the season. Lawrence, he looked slack in possession. The touch wasn't there. He's tightened all that up. I think he's a type of player. Absolutely.
Unlucky not to get an assist, with that one he puts my head in. The keeper's done really well to get his boot out to divert it, and Mader's unlucky on the follow-up as well. So, yeah, I think he's looking a lot sharper, fitter, and his touch is back. I think Kyogo's still the first choice, though, isn't he? He needs to keep developing and up his game to kind of put more pressure on Kyogo.
They've both scored the same amount of goals in the 2024 season going into this particular game. Neither of the two of them gets on the score sheet, so that hasn't changed. James Rowe, what was all the panty wetting about at half-time? Unbeaten in 17 league games, goal difference more than double our nearest rivals, doing well in Europe. Man, we're hard to please. Yes, we are. Very demanding as a fan base, but you know what? There's not a problem with that, and there's no problem, says Loopy33. Rastinho. We're obviously talking about Anthony. Also had a good game in CCV. is back to his best. He's a colossus when he's at his absolute peak. Rio Atati, says Graham Martin. Vision of a game is outstanding. Kuhn touches night and day compared to Yang. But you know what? I thought Yang did okay as well. And Daniel F. Barry, agree, talking to Barry McCluskey, I think I was getting annoyed because he was starting ahead of Bernardo. And at the moment, I think Bernardo is a better player.
She's spot on. You know, I think Bernardo's way outperforming Hatate. He's more consistent. It might not have those wee moments of magic that Rio has, but definitely a lot more consistent. You know, I don't think I've seen him do anything less than a 7 in a Celtic shirt, 7 out of 10. I think, yeah, Bernardo's really unlucky not to start.
And when you consider the fact that you said earlier how Brendan Rodgers had kind of changed the approach to recruitment, you know, in relation to the players that we're bringing in, the money that we're spending, etc. I think we've also proved that we can pick up a bargain when you look at Bernardo at 3.5 and Kuhn at 3.5 once. I mean, that is unbelievable bit of business.
Argued them down as well, didn't we? Yeah. What was it by 4.5 or 5 or something? We argued them down.
Yeah. So for everybody arguing that we've overpaid for Ida, I've heard a lot of people saying that, or Engels. Look at the quality of the business we've done on those two players, Bernardo and Kuhn.
And McCowan, mate. I'd throw McCowan in there.
$1 million. Absolutely. 8 million for those three.
Yeah.
Brilliant business.
Definitely lifted the level in the squad. Tell you about the squad, you know, we've got January coming up, mate. Looks like Rocky's out. It's shift Rocky out. Home as well. Probably Welsh. Definitely want wingers in, but you'd want another centre-half, Cameron Carter-Vickers quality.
Yeah.
Odin Home, I don't know what he's done, mate, but he's just not getting anywhere near midfield. Yang today, it was a better performance than expected.
Is there still a glimmer of hope for you, do you think, in terms of Yang? Because for me, I've written him and Palmer off in the same way as Nawrocki and Home. At least they are contributing. Home and Nawrocki are not contributing.
I've written Palmer off. Yang probably still, mate. It's a better performance than expected of him today. But I still don't think if the transfer window was open tomorrow, we wouldn't be bringing in someone to replace him. I think that's just what it is. Listen, Brendan obviously likes him. Maybe I want to keep him for another season, see what else he can get. But I think it's wingers will be bringing in, and that'll put him further away from the first team.
I agree with that. Lawrence Connolly predicted 1-0 half-time, 4-0 full-time. He got it absolutely spot on. It's been an enjoyable game over the piece. I've got to wish every single one of you a happy Christmas again. Go away and enjoy the rest of your Boxing Day with those nearest and dearest to you. And we will be back as normal at 12:30 on the Friday Bulletin. Absolutely no question about that. Live from the Skylark, Lawrence Connolly. Always an absolute pleasure, my friend. You go away and enjoy the rest of your night. And thanks, everybody, for getting involved on a Celtic State of Mind.